So welcome to another episode of Pearl Daily. The T app has been all over the news lately. The T app is used by women to share their stories about men, and the app allows them to share pictures and private data about men without their consent. The idea for this app is not an original one. Groups on sites like Facebook, Am I Dating the Same Guy, where women share photos of men and compare notes about who they've been dating and how their experience has been around since the 2010. Men do not have access to these spaces, and anything can be said about these men while the women choose to remain anonymous. Let's get right to the point. We all know that women created these groups. It's because they don't know how to take L's in dating, especially when they're older. Women hate, and I mean hate, when they get got. They hate when a man plays the game better than they do, and this is how they get revenge. Dating is a risk, and women want to minimize that risk of taking an L by destroying the reputation of a man. Things used to be so simple before feminism. Men used to see a pretty woman and ask her out on a date. Then he would go to her house and ask her father if he could take her out on a date. A man used to court a woman, marry a woman, and then they would move on down the path of life. Women called that patriarchy, and feminism blew that whole thing up. Now, we have a deregulated sexual marketplace where women can do what they want. When left to their own choice, modern women are trying to date the top 20% of men. These men have so much choice that they don't want to commit to women, which is really understandable when you think about all these baddies today. Sleep with multiple women and leave relationships when they see fit. How have women responded to having this much choice? They've responded with these groups and shaming men to prevent them from enjoying what they've earned, the ability to be able to do by becoming a man of means. Men have started fighting back, and now they are suing the women in these groups. So a guy in Tucson, Arizona, Are We Dating the Same Guy, is suing.
Going out on a first date, how do you know for sure that the person you're seeing isn't already dating someone else? Well, in Tucson, there are nearly 4,000 women in a Facebook group called Are We Dating the Same Guy? 13 News reporter Shelby Slaughter has been looking into the story. She joins us now live in studio. Shelby.
Well, Dan, it is hard to get out there and meet people. And naturally, when you have a bad experience with someone, you want to tell your friends and even warn others. And that,
yeah, but there's a difference.
What this group?
Sorry, there's a difference between friends and the American public. You know, you can crash out with your friends, but you're not supposed to crash out in public, you know.
To do.
It started as a way for women in southern Arizona to make sure other women in the area aren't dating the same guy.
I want to change the way women look at women.
And 6 months ago, Nirvana Spivey set out to do just that, creating a Facebook group called Are We Dating the Same Guy? Now with nearly 4,000 women looking to find out if their boyfriends or even their husbands are being dishonest.
A lot of women, they go through this thing where they're like dating one guy, and he's living a whole double life. He's dating like 6 other girls, and she has no idea.
Spivey says the goal of the group isn't to bash men, but to keep the door for transparency open among women.
Yeah, okay, and that could be the idea, but the problem is when you let anonymous people make up any story about a man, the challenge is a lot of stuff gets through that's not true.
Area.
It kind of gives other girls like a knowledge, so when they're out there in the dating world, they're like, you're a player? No, thank you. They already have a hand and they already have a no.
The group shows posts like these. We've blurred the men's faces and names, asking for things like tea or dirt on a man before things get too serious.
Yeah, and so what you have is a bunch of women going into something in bad faith. So they meet a guy and they're already looking for things wrong with him. And the thing is, guys, if we had women being posted in these groups and they said, has anyone gone on a date with her? I mean, come on, ladies. Have we never ghosted a man? I have. You haven't ever ghosted a guy where he maybe expected something and like he would probably blast us in these groups. And, you know, I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, but the game is the game, right? I'm not always a good person, and neither are most people, all right?
Sometimes that doesn't sit well with men who find out about the group. Attorney Alex Mori, an expert on free speech and defamation, tells me unless these women are making threats in the group, they aren't violating any laws.
a lot of speech online, people go like, oh, I hate this conversation, or they were being mean, or they were being a jerk.
Yeah, okay, but the women can ruin my life. They can flag my posts and whatever of me, but if they do it, it's perfectly fine, legal, and it's just about safety.
Or they were, criticizing me really harshly. A lot of that is protected by the First Amendment, even if the guy that's being talked about doesn't like it.
Maury tells me women in the group would have to be saying things that are provably false to fall under defamation. Other things like giving general warnings is considered free speech.
If women are making provably false claims about these particular men, they could open themselves up to potential defamation suits.
And Nervy tells me this is already something she has in mind. And when posts come in warning other women about things like sexual assault and domestic violence, she makes sure the women provide things like police reports before it gets published in the group.
You can't stick out there that this man did this without backup proof to it, because then you could be victimizing the man as well.
And I spoke with a couple of the women in that group, and they tell me having a space to go while putting feelers out there in the dating world has made them feel safer. Reporting live in studio, I'm Shelby Slaughter, 13 News.
And remember, they doxed a lot of the women in these groups, and a lot of them are fat. So remember, ladies, when a woman says he's just playing games, she's probably just not hot enough to be with him, and you might not be either. You might not be. And I think that looks play a big part, and they're not everything, but they do get you in the door. So if you're wondering why a guy doesn't like you, look at your pictures together and ask yourself, does this make sense? And sometimes it doesn't.
Well, can a bad date land you a court date after you post about it online? Well, a group of local women say they are now forced to defend themselves in court after they took to social media to warn other women about a potential suitor. Tonight on Your Sites, Christine Lazar takes a look at the case and what it could mean for our free speech.
The First Amendment protects you from any laws meant to limit your free speech, but it doesn't prevent someone from taking you to court because they don't like what you said about them online. Now, a group of women say they're being bullied into silence by a guy who didn't like what they had to say about his online dating behavior.
Anything is possible, really, when you meet strangers off the internet.
But most don't think comments about a bad date will lead to a defamation lawsuit filed by the guy they wish to forget.
I felt like I was being...
Take that L, ho. You got smashed and passed. And women, look, I'll tell you what. You are much better off knowing that this could happen to you in the dating game and just taking that L. It's an L. Sometimes men sleep with you and don't call you back, and that just is an L. And there's all these trad cunt guys that want to act like, oh, my wife, that would never happen to her. Look, they don't want to get married because they're not accepting what's on the marketplace. I'm just being honest here. If you're a mid, it's probably going to happen. If you're beautiful, it might never happen. But that's why mids have higher body counts, so...
Honestly, just by the things that were coming out of his mouth.
Back in 2021, Olivia Berger had a single date with a guy she met online. She says she ended that date early and didn't think about him until years later when she saw this post in a private Facebook group called Are We Dating the Same Guy? The post had photos of her former date and read T in comments, asking if others had met him in person. Olivia weighed in.
I want to emphasize I had never had a date like this, ever.
Years before Olivia met him, Vanessa Valdez matched with him on a dating app. She also commented on the post.
Then I said, how is this guy still allowed to be on dating apps harassing women?
Vanessa says there's
a lot of time this is like the alpha guy. Women get angry when they can't either lock down alpha or don't get the attention they want from alphas. So they just try to ruin his life, reputation. Or when a beta acts like an alpha, not sure which this is.
Was anything but routine. He took issue with her having a male friend in one of her profile photos, and in a message called her a moron and wrote, "It's fun watching you burn."
And at that point, my stomach dropped. Hearing someone say it's fun watching you burn, a stranger from the internet, it was very unsettling.
Vanessa responded that he should stay away from women and get help before reporting him to the dating app. And that's the info she says she relayed on that Facebook post.
But in my post, I redacted his phone number and just tell the truth and share my experience.
But her version of the truth will now be put to the test. The guy she and Olivia and 10 other women claim to have dated and later dissed in the Are We Dating the Same Guy Facebook group are now being sued for defamation, sex-based.
Take that L. Take that L. And this is the challenge. We used to have freedom of speech in this country, but women ruined it with all these bullshit lawsuits. I'm getting dragged to court currently. And none of this would happen if women didn't ask for this. So, women, it's women's fault, in all honesty.
Nation.
And now women are eating the consequences of what they fought for, which is you don't have freedom of speech. And if you ruin a man's reputation for fun, like women do for men, you are going to face the consequences.
An invasion of privacy by a man named Stuart Lucas Murray.
I think my initial reaction is, this can't go anywhere. There's nothing I said that wasn't true. But yeah, I felt silenced. I felt like I was being intimidated into silence.
And that could be a problem, according to defamation attorney Jeff Lewis.
In First Amendment world, we call that a chilling effect, meaning when people fear they're going to be sued, they either stop talking or they change what they're going to say because they're worried they're going to be sued.
Lewis.
And men have to do this all the time. Men have to change their speech to not offend women all the time. But when women have to do it, it's World War III.
Anyone can sue another person for what they say about them online. But that doesn't mean they'll win.
I wonder if men made a site called Are We Effing the Same Girl? And how that directory would work out.
The way to avoid being sued for saying things on the internet is to say things that are true or that are opinion. And if you step outside of truth or opinion, there's a good chance you might get sued if it's something negative.
In this case, the women say that's what they did. They spoke their truth. Murray disagrees. In his lawsuit, he claims one of the women falsely said he was involved in the murder of his ex-wife. Another.
You guys are saying he committed murder? You guys are nuts. Oh my gosh.
STDs. Both and Vanessa say they never posted that or saw any other women make comments of that nature. In a statement to us, Murray says he has never met, much less dated, some of the women posting about him. He went on to accuse the women of catfishing him, saying they posted highly filtered and enhanced photos on their dating profiles, concluding perhaps these women are not successful at dating for obvious reasons. Lewis believes this case will make it to court.
Because a judge at this early stage can't believe one side or the other, that's a jury question. So this case will likely go to trial if it doesn't settle.
And without representation and not a lot of expendable income to fight a lawsuit, the women worry this could bankrupt them.
At the end of the day, these kinds of suits don't just affect me and Vanessa and our co-defendants. And I feel that a lot of times women are still being silenced.
In January, a similar lawsuit was filed in Chicago by a man who was also the subject of a post in the Facebook group, Are We Dating the Same Guy? I did reach out to the moderator of that group, but she has not responded. That moderator, by the way, has created a fundraiser to help the women in Chicago being sued. But these women here in LA says she has not offered to help them. Christine Lazar, KCAL News.
Some more lawsuits.
The women we spoke with feel they did nothing wrong. They say the truth.
Of course they feel they did nothing wrong. It just never ends.
And their opinions are protected against defamation.
Yeah, so this is a Chad running through these hoes, and now their hoes are... It's like women beg to be run through. They're like, please run through us. We don't want to be a main chick. We want to be a side chick. If you like us too much, we're going to crash out. And the men are like, fine, we'll run through you. If you guys insist, we'll treat you like a piece of meat. And so they do it. And then the women cry. Now we're here.
This action is not a game, and the accusations against the defendants are serious. I rejected each of them and cut them off quite swiftly. Instead of going their separate ways, they went on for months. And
yeah, because women never take L's. And so they of course, hold on to any attention they've gotten. and reminisce on it for the rest of their life. If they can, they'll brag about it and then ruin the man's life.
Years to spread misinformation about me and countless others. Their actions were deliberate, and they are now playing the victims, unquote.
This is not his first lawsuit. It's not his second lawsuit. It's not his fifth lawsuit. He has a pattern, and it seems to me that that pattern is most often directed towards women.
What have you learned from this experience?
The importance of speaking up and telling the truth and not being silenced.
You know what? Old ladies can win. They really can. I've seen many women that are old, they have kids. I have seen so many women win in my life that I actually think nothing is too big of a red flag for you to win. There is somebody that'll take you. There's so many men in the world. So the challenge is we make it so difficult for ourselves. We just make it even harder.